Chip Skylark, he says Robert Saleh for defensive coordinator with a question mark.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't hate Saleh, man.
Absolutely.
Saleh.
Get someone like that in here.
He's done his thing.
Because what I'm starting to think is, well, still, I don't know if Tomlin was calling the plays or not on defense, but I keep seeing reports that pop up that said he has major influence on the defense, even though Terrell Austin's the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Essentially, like, he's running things. I wouldn't mind having Tomlin be just the grand overseer of things.
Mm-hmm.
Have Arthur Smith run the offense, have a Salah like call the plays on defense, and Tomlin just overseeing. Because that's what Belichick did up with New England. And the one thing you can't take away from Tomlin is he does know how to lead a team. Like he is legitimately a good NFL head coach and knows how to keep a team relevant. So like I feel like if he could delegate some of that work to guys that are more entrenched in those certain roles, offense, defense, and they can really go over the details more with like a fine-tooth comb, and I think that could do us well. I think maybe that's one of the approaches to change. Again, I'm just going from the outside looking in, but maybe that's it.
Yeah. So for me, man,
that's what he did early on. And actually, because think we had Bruce Arians as the OC, and then on defense it was Dick LeBeau.
Yeah.
And that was the best success we had under Tomlin.
Yeah. No, I was about to say, man, I like the approach. Honestly, man, we're talking about delegating while still overseeing. We know Coach Tomlin, that's his baby. He is always going to be entrenched in the defense. But sometimes it's not the worst idea to have a guy that is still very qualified, but all he focuses on is X's and O's / game day calls. Like sometimes it is that, whereas as a whole for Coach T, he can tell you, man, I want to take this type of approach to it, though. I want to be like this situationally. I want these type of calls, but I don't have to tell you exactly how to call everything. I can just tell you these are the type of things that I want to see taking place. And now from there, I can trust you enough to go out there and you're going to understand how to chef this up because you're qualified. You could be doing this as well. But now it's almost like the two brains are better than one type concept, but we don't have the power struggle because I'm clearly oversee, but you are my operations hands-on type of dude. Salah is definitely qualified for that. We know this. Salah's already had a proven track record. And then we also would say that in the sense of Salah versus TA, nothing against TA, but when I look at Salah, I'm like, I've seen you at least do the head coaching thing. And granted, it wasn't the most successful, but I know you was in New York with them Jets fans, man.
Those defenses were pretty good.
I'm about to say the defenses I felt were good. I felt like your quarterback scenario was atrocious your whole tenure while you were there, and you got because of that. Like, you got fired after 5 games of just having Rodgers.
And their defense went down to 2 after he got fired.
Absolutely. So, to me, I look at Robert Saleh, and I'm like, yeah, I could definitely be on board with that if they were going to be doing that type of change. Now, Coach Tomlin, yesterday in his press conference, he didn't give a ton of switching coordinators or any of that, but he did say everybody and everything is getting evaluated, and that's the process they're going through right now of trying to figure out what worked, what didn't work, who is good enough and who is not. And then from there, they'll be able to implement plans, whether that is personnel changes or even coaching staff changes. But he also did say that not every coach is under contract, and there will be coaches that do get changed. He tried to play it off when they was asking him specifically, like he didn't know what they was talking about. I like his media savvy, though. It's like, yeah, coach, will there be any changes? Well, technically, it's changes always. Not every coach is under contract. It's like, you know what we meant. All right, but y'all hit that like button one time for the culture. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new to the channel.
I actually love that idea. Get a Robert Saleh in there. Someone like that. I don't know who else is out there with,
because that's the Brian Flores.
Saleh's resume. Yeah,
Saleh's the Brian Flores. You tried it as the head coach. It was mixed results, but as a whole, we know you do this. It's Cliff Kingsbury. You didn't make it as the head, but we know you do this. It's Arthur Smith to an extent. We know you can do offense, but your head coaching spot, not the most productive, not the most consistent. There's nothing wrong with failed head coaches as coordinators. That's how you get that higher caliber, coaching staff. But you got to find them at the right time. And I think that that's the thing with Salah right now. It looks like could be right time. We talked about Brian Flores, and even with B Flow, remember, we still had him and TA at the same time. It didn't have to be one or the other. So I look at this and I say, does it have to necessarily be one or the other? We loved it when B Flow was here. He's still, who was he, linebackers coach, like senior defensive or whatever the heck they gave him, like that weird title to go with it. You could definitely do the same thing with Salah if you truly wanted to go that route. I don't think there's anything that stops us from that.
I don't know if Salah would want to do that though. I'm sure someone would hire him to be DC, right?
Well, that's the question. I think you would, but we also know every coach is gonna have their guy.
I wouldn't want that from March. I would give Salah DC. I think he's way more qualified than Terrell Austin. And that's the way to go, man. Like you said, getting a fired head coach to come back and do their thing on either side of the
you're getting
high
level skill, high level.
Yeah, they were obviously doing something at an elite level to get to a head coaching job. They just didn't do head coach well. So that's a whole different wrinkle that you got to deal with.
Head coach is way more on your plate versus coordinator versus position coach.
And we haven't done that with the defense since Dick LeBeau. It's been Butler, who never was a DC, and we just called him up from linebackers coach.
Butler was just a part of it.
The best he got to was DC with the Lions and 1 year with the Bengals.
Yeah. So that's my thing. I'm like, we've seen how that works, and we've seen other organizations do it. We've seen us do it and have success. I just think that it's something that if we're interested in doing, we would just need to go ahead and make them calls and do that. I don't see why we wouldn't be interested in it, man. Yeah, I don't see why.
I think that's a great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great strategy.
No,